Hello and welcome to the Business Standard Morning Show. I'm Nazia Iqbal and here's a look at the stories for the day. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is on a 4-day visit to India. She met Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday and the two leaders pledged to strengthen economic ties. They also signed 7 pacts, mostly focusing on bilateral cooperation in diverse sectors, including water sharing. Against this backdrop, today's segment will explore whether or not the ties between the two countries have shaped the way New Delhi wanted, and also the likely impact of the latest agreements.
On the day when Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was meeting her Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in New Delhi, a huge consignment of Hilsa arrived in Kolkata markets from Dhaka. As a gesture of friendship, Bangladesh has allowed export of 2,450 metric tons of the pricey fish ahead of the Durga Puja. The country had placed a ban on Hilsa exports a decade ago. The Bangladeshi PM later said that friendship can solve any problem. On Tuesday, both countries signed 7 treaties. A memorandum of understanding on withdrawal of water from the border river Kushiara in Assam was among them, while the others focused on bilateral cooperation in diverse sectors. Prime among these was an MOU on training Bangladeshi railway personnel in training institutes of the Indian Railways, apart from another one on collaboration in IT systems such as Freight Operations Information System and other applications. The two nations also signed MOUs on a training and capacity building program for Bangladeshi judicial officers in India, along with cooperation in science and technology, space technology, and the public television sector. Along with the signing of the pacts, PM Modi said that PM Hasina agreed on extending connectivity and trade infrastructure between the two countries to further connect the two economies. Concerned over China announcing a slew of infrastructure financing and construction projects in Bangladesh, India also focused on key high-stakes projects being built by it in the neighboring country. Both countries inaugurated the first unit of the Maitri Super Thermal Power Project in Bangladesh. PM Modi said that the inauguration would raise the availability of affordable electricity in that country. Being constructed under India's concessional financing scheme, the project is set to add 1,320 megawatts of electricity generation capacity in the neighboring country. The first unit of the project was successfully synchronized last month. Furthermore, business tycoon Gautam Adani, who also met Hasina, will supply power from his upcoming project in Jharkhand to Bangladesh starting the 16th of December. Meanwhile, PM Modi also lauded the recently constructed Rupsha rail bridge, part of the rail line being built to connect the upcoming Mongla port in Bangladesh's south to Khulna, the neighboring country's third largest city. Both are being financed under a concessional line of credit provided by India. The total project is set to cost $389 million. PM Modi said that India was currently the largest market in Asia for Bangladeshi exports, and that the two countries would soon begin talks on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA. Fast-tracking the CEPA has been a key policy objective for Dhaka ever since Hasina approved it in August. Preliminary joint studies suggest that the deal is expected to raise Bangladeshi exports to India twofold and expand the country's GDP by 2%. PM Modi's mention of the CEPA in the joint press statement is an indication that New Delhi has accepted Bangladesh's request to accord it priority. Bangladesh exports only $1.9 billion worth of goods to India, but its imports from the country stand at $16.15 billion. While many areas of convergence have been found, water sharing has proved to be a thorny issue as both the Ganges and the Brahmaputra enter Bangladesh from West Bengal and Assam. Access to water from the Tista River which remains important for irrigation in large swaths of Bangladesh, remains a hotly contested issue that Dhaka continues to raise with India.
Regarding the Kushiara River Treaty, where there's a problem in Insular district that is known as the Tamavil region, Tamavil, and where a lot of problems of flood and other things take place. Now, by this visit, the Kushiara Water Treaty has been finalized between India and Bangladesh, and I'm sure this would address the problem of Assam, southern Assam people, as well as the Sylhet people in Bangladesh. There are a number of incidents in the past also where Bangladesh has cooperated with India regarding the defense issues. They did not have any kind of defense agreements with China, except in 2002, a defense umbrella agreement was signed during Khalid Raja period.
Prime Minister Hasina's visit is not like a milestone, but it is an important visit, right? It's part of regular engagement between what New Delhi has already identified as the most important partnership in South Asia, and that regular engagement lends itself like some significance, right? 2017, 2019, 2020, you had like a growing sort of high-level diplomatic, defense, political, economic, so on and so forth. Even like the base of the relationship, which is the socio-cultural, is also expanding in scope. Even though 7 MOUs are being signed at the sort of geostrategic, regional, trans-regional level, the strategic community in India, foreign policy community in India and Bangladesh always feel like there is a gap. We are seeing a political and diplomatic engagement that is growing at an appreciative rate. Now, there still remains, the strategic threat of China and the sort of threat it poses to India's position in South Asia. I would say that at a political level, the commonalities between India and Bangladesh, we keep them together. But I would say where the defense security is of concern, China will be playing an increasing role in the region via Bangladesh.
While no high-profile pacts may have been signed during the present visit, the India-Bangladesh relationship appears to be on solid footing. Ties will only grow from here onwards, especially if the two governments can move quickly to reap the benefits of a substantive economic partnership agreement.
Did you know that the parents of legendary filmmaker Satyajit Ray were from Kishoreganj district of Bangladesh? Ray had also toyed with the idea of making a film on 1971 liberation, but he didn't. Ray was more concerned with the travails of refugees than the politics. Indian cinema has come a long way since then, picking up from where Ray left. But of late, Hindi cinema has been going through a rough patch. Big stars are losing the sparkle and most movies are biting the dust. Let's find out why.
Fridays are no longer the same. Movie lovers hardly wait for the day now, as new Hindi releases rarely catch their fancy. Movie halls don't see those long queues and frantic rush for tickets is missing. Filmmakers, actors and producers now approach the day with caution and nervousness. Hindi cinema is churning flops after flops, but why an industry known for its path-breaking content is struggling to captivate the audience? Recently, the box office saw 3 high-budget and much-awaited movies biting the dust. Aamir Khan's Lal Singh Chadda, Akshay Kumar's Raksha Bandhan and Ranbir Kapoor's Shamshera failed to draw the crowds to the theatre. Only 2 films, The Kashmir Files and Bhool Bhulaiya 2, have received positive reviews this year, according to MK Global Financial Services. Filmmaker Anurag Kashyap, in a recent interview with film critic Bharadwaj Rangan, said that the Hindi cinema cannot work on star value alone in today's day and age. The content that is being put out is not just engaging enough. It has to be rooted and original, the maker of Gangs of Wasseypur and Devdi said. Analysts and experts agree. A report by MK Global Financial Services says that poor content performance is largely underscored by deprecatory critic reviews and social media influence. Content quality has superseded star power, which is evident in the recently released movies being a letdown.
I think first and foremost, the very big reason is content, right? Content definitely is king. Content for Hindi cinema has not been up to the mark. In fact, the backlog of content has not worked favorably for them. But apparently, what has happened right now, because of the pandemic, is that there has been a lot of change in terms of the audience consumption habits. So I think that, of course, the consistent comeback, or so to say, the strong growth versus the pre-COVID level for Hindi box office will only come towards the second half of next year. We might see some ups and downs. I mean, Q1 was very good. Q2 is going to be very weak. Q3 again might be a little better because of festive. So it's going to be an up and down year this year. But if financial year 24, so to say, I believe there should be a very strong recovery in terms of box office.
The poor content is being reflected in the box office numbers. According to Koimoi website, 77% of Bollywood releases have been flops this year. In the January to July period this year, overall gross box office collections stood at over 6,000 crore rupees, of which Hindi cinema's share was just 34%, lower than the pre-pandemic levels, according to Ormax Media, a media consulting firm. Interestingly, the Hindi box office was also largely driven by dubbed regional films like RRR and KGF2. In the ongoing July to September quarter, revenues from Bollywood films are expected to fall 45% compared with pre-COVID levels, according to LRR Capital. Meanwhile, Southern cinema had a riot at the box office this year. RRR and KGF2 minted close to or over 1,000 crore rupees, while Vikram delivered massive numbers for Tamil cinema. Southern cinema's share in overall box office collections stood at over 50% till July this year. The rise of OTT platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime have opened up content that was once inaccessible to the loyal Bollywood audience, and streaming with subtitles proved a game changer for regional cinema. Tollywood's Pushpa The Rise became a bigger success and garnered a cult-like status in North India after it was released on Amazon Prime. Experts say, with no dearth of content on OTTs, audiences are demanding better storytelling from Bollywood. High ticket prices in multiplexes, the reduction of single screens, and social media campaigns against the film industry haven't helped either. So is everything gloomy for Bollywood? Not so much. It is not that every regional cinema is doing well. The recent Liger fiasco shows that only gripping storytelling works, irrespective of where it is produced. A few good successes at the box office could turn the tide.
I know that a few big budget Hollywood films have not worked at the box office, and I still consider this as an aberration and not a trend, because if these films haven't worked, there are some films that have worked in the box office the last 6-7 months, and the films that have not worked at the box office, and they've been perceptibly big ones and big budget ones, I feel is because the content somewhere has not resonated with the consumers. And this is not a new phenomena. This has happened in the past also, where movies have not clicked with the audiences and therefore they haven't done well as expected. So I think it's going to be a matter of 2-3 films that end up doing well at the box office, and then all these statements and all these hypotheses will really have no value. I mean, perhaps as soon as 9 September, it only takes one big hit for actually the mood of the industry to change, and the fortunes to start changing. And, it could be Brahmastra, and can be even Vikram Vedha. It can be also Circus. It can be Drishyam Part 2, which is coming out. There are so many exciting movies that are coming out on Diwali as well. So it could be any one of these movies, or all these films, you never know, put together, that can become a hit and then can basically become buoyant to the box office, and could lead to box office going back to where it used to be, what it used to be.
But it also depends on how the filmmakers adapt to the changing tastes of audiences. Currently, the industry is playing catch up and trying too many things. Experts say audiences will make up to Bollywood if the industry engages them. In a recent interview, Amir Khan said Bollywood has stopped making movies for the masses and the content is too niche. That could be the restart maybe, picking subjects that appeal to a larger audience that make for compelling viewing.
Shares of multiplex chains have recently seen a jump due to the high hopes from the upcoming movie Brahmastra. Moving on, the European countries are bracing for a winter sans gas as supplies remain disrupted from Russia. And oil prices are again above $95 per barrel on the supply cut decision by OPEC+. The bitter energy crisis is hurting oil and gas companies back home. So what is the road ahead for investors? Let's find out.
Brent crude prices are down about 23% since this year's peak of $123 per barrel as economists predict recession in developed economies and muted demand globally. However, to bolster prices, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, and its allies on Monday decided to cut production for October by 100,000 barrels per day. The move, however, didn't surprise domestic market watchers who remain unperturbed by the minuscule cut. According to VK Vijaykumar of Geojit Financial Services, OPEC Plus' decision to cut oil output by 100,000 barrels a day is only 0.1% of global demand. Therefore, it is grossly inadequate to move the needle on oil prices. Brent crude prices had jumped 4% after the announcement, but retreated around 1% later. That said, analysts caution against further cut in supply, which may impact India in the long term.
However, the key thing to take away from the decision is a signal from OPEC Plus that they stand ready to cut output to support prices in the event of any sharp weakness in crude price, given the concerns around Chinese economy and the potential recession in Europe and US. So I think this decision will help to put a floor to crude and support prices given the macro-related uncertainty. Obviously, the geopolitical development around Russia and Europe in terms of energy supply will be another key factor which will determine where crude is headed. From Indian market perspective, obviously high crude price is negative for India given we are more than 80% dependent on imports for crude. So from that perspective, yeah, this is not very positive from Indian market perspective.
Meanwhile, another crisis is looming in the energy markets. Spot liquefied natural gas prices in Asia touched a record high of $70 per MMBTU last week, a threefold increase in 3 months. This comes after Russia's state-owned energy giant Gazprom shut down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline indefinitely due to an oil leak in a turbine. With ballooning global prices, analysts see downside risks to margin of gas distributors in the near term.
On the gas consuming side, it is going to create a lot of pressure as far as EBITDA margins are concerned. In the short term, given that they have reached record high levels of almost $70 as of last week and are expected to, continue to sort of, remain very high. We do expect that particularly for the CGDs, there could be a very sharp drop off in terms of the gross margins and EBITDA margins overall over second quarter and third quarter. The other thing that it does is if these prices continue to persist, even the domestic gas prices, both for October and April, will also see a significant uptick, which is also a negative.
ICICI Securities expects EBITDA per standard cubic meter for Indraprastha gas and Mahanagar gas to reduce by 20 to 38%, but increase by 35% for Gujarat Gas in FY23. For GAIL, Gujarat State Petronet and Petronet LNG, lower volumes and/or higher costs can reduce EBITDA by 6 to 20%. Overall, the near-term outlook for listed players linked to oil and gas sector remains uncertain. Analysts suggest only long-term investors stay put in these stocks. On Wednesday, global cues and stock-specific action will guide the markets.
After the markets, let's move on to a technology which will help in tracking and catching lawbreakers. A database of fingerprints is being created by the government. Our next report tells more.
On 17th of August, Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the National Automated Fingerprint Identification System or NAFIS, which is designed to help in quick and easy disposal of cases with the help of a centralized fingerprint database. NAFIS is the centre's ambitious scheme under which workstations were set up in every state for identification through fingerprint and palm print database and matching system. Its software serves as the key application for fingerprint experts for crime and criminal investigation functions. It also functions as the central information repository of all the crime and criminal related fingerprint data of the country. The national level NAFIS solution is implemented and managed by the Central Fingerprint Bureau or CFPB at National Crime Records Bureau, New Delhi. The identification system aims to establish a robust online searchable national database of fingerprints from all states and union territories. The key objective of the web-based application is to provide standards-based, interoperable, fast and accurate biometric enrollment and search services at the national and state level. The system would have configurable virtual partitions which can be accessed by each state or union territory and central agencies. National Automated Fingerprint Identification System assigns a unique 10-digit national fingerprint number for each criminal based on biometrics. The unique ID will be used for a lifetime of an offender. Different crimes registered under different FIRs will be logged as incidents belonging to the same national fingerprint number. The first 2 digits of the ID will be the state code of the state where the criminal is registered, followed by a sequence number. The state partition will have IDs belonging to a state.
I will achieve, I will fly high.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.
NAFIS was already in use in some states before the formal inauguration. In April this year, Madhya Pradesh became the first state to identify a deceased individual through the NAFIS. The identification led to the registration of a homicide case based on circumstantial clues. Well, that's all we have for you today. We will be back with more news and analysis in our next episode. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.